One of the games I played at Gen Con 2021 was Picture Perfect, a design by first-timer Anthony Nouveau that was released in Germany by Corax Games in 2020 under the name De Perfecta Moment, with Arcane Wonders bringing it to the United States. This 2 to 4 player game is a combination of a logic game and a party game. We first played on a demo copy given to us by Arcane Wonders for use in the BGG library, and I loved it. I bought a copy, brought it home, and now, months later, I finally played it enough that I feel like I can talk about it in a reasonable manner. So let me first explain how the game works. In the game, you're a photographer who is trying to take a photo of guests around a table at the end of a party. You have 14 guests on hand, which include, yes, a dog and a potted plant. The plant keeps getting invited back to all the parties, so it's making a good impression. You are trying to take the perfect photo of these guests, but perfect is determined by the desires of the guests themselves. At the start of the game, you have 14 envelopes available, one for each guest, and you're going to place 3 desire cards inside at random to determine where these guests want to stand and who they want to stand next to and who they do not want to stand next to. The game lasts 6 rounds. You have a deck of 6 event cards, a separate deck for 2 players and for 3 to 4 players. At the start of the game, you're going to receive 3 to 5 envelopes based on the player count. So in a 3-player game, I get 4 envelopes. Everyone else gets 4. We have 2 envelopes in the center of the table. And then you begin play. You're going to have a screen up so no one can see your table because, as in a logic game, you're trying to keep track of who goes where, what all information you have seen, and you don't want other people to keep track of what you are doing. So at the start of each round, you can look at the envelopes that you have in front of you. You look at only one envelope at a time so that you do not mix the cards from one envelope to another. So for example, the dog wants to stand next to this woman and wants to stand at the table. Okay, so how am I going to keep track of where the dog wants to stand? Maybe I'll put the dog right on the table right now. Wants to stand next to this woman. I don't know what she wants, but I know the dog wants her next to him. And the dog doesn't want anyone to see this lady's face. I'm not sure why. Maybe she wouldn't give him any treats. Don't know. If this card happened to end up in this woman's envelope, then instead she wants no one standing in front of her. So the goal of the card changes depending on which envelope this ends up in. So to keep track of this, maybe I'll just turn her face backwards right now. All right, dog goes here. We'll look at this guy in the purple suit. He wants to not stand next to a woman. And he wants to stand next to this lady. Okay, guests are often contradictory, right? Just like other humans or dogs and plants. They have contradictory desires. I want to make sure no one sees her face. Well, that's rude, but that's what he wants. Who am I to argue with guests? I'm just a photographer. I don't know. He can go anywhere. He just wants to block her and wants to stand next to her or next to no woman. All right, we'll do that for now. So you're going to create a clue system of trying to track where everyone wants to go. This woman here, oh, her card is in there. I want to stand next to her or just be her. So she definitely, all she wants to do is be in the photo. As long as she's in the photo, you have satisfied this desire. In addition to that, she wants to stand in the 3rd row. All right, what else? And she wants to stand in the middle. So really she wants to be in these 3 spaces. All right, we'll lay her down there. For now, just to give an idea, this is ideal. This is everything she wants if she ends up somewhere in those 3 spaces. And the child, all he cares about is being in particular spots, which are contradictory to some degree because these 2 do not overlap. But the child wants to be somewhere in this area. We'll just sort of lay him right here. Ideally, this is good because he'll be in 2 spots, or any of these he'll be in 2 spots. All right, there we go. So I've looked at all the envelopes. And now we reveal an event card once everyone is ready. So in this case, the event is theft. All players simultaneously take an envelope from the player on their left. So I can look and see, maybe my player on the left has this woman in my example, sure. And so I take this. So now I can find out not only what the dog wants, but what she wants as well. And ideally, I can satisfy both their desires at the same time. So I'm going to look at this. Whoops, I don't look at it. I just take it. All right, I take it. I add it to my collection. My neighbor stole one of my envelopes. Now we start the next round. I can look at everything that I have in front of me. I already know what these three are, so now I only have to look at this one envelope, unless I want a reminder of where things go. Okay, this woman does not want to stand next to a man. She wants to stand away from the table. And by chance, I want to stand next to the dog. Perfect. All right. She doesn't want to stand next to a man. Let's put him like this. And hopefully we won't have a... So now we'll move the boy here. All right. And leave things like that. Super. That's great. However, I have information only on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people so far, sort of. We have another event card. Each player keeps one envelope, places the rest in the middle, and then shuffle them and you get back as many as you put in. And you might have different envelope numbers because there's a variant of the game where you have auctions, and so you can put envelopes up for auction and win decorations that are worth money worth points at the end of the game. The decorations are the money themselves. So I choose which one I want to keep and put the rest in, and I'm going to get something back. Now, why you might want to keep an envelope? Well, there's two reasons. One, each player has a VIP card, and when you are looking at envelopes, you can decide you are going to add a VIP card to one of the envelopes. And now this envelope, this character, this guest, is going to score twice at the end of the game. And you want to put a VIP card in someone who you think you have maximized the score of by satisfying all three of their desires. So I might want to keep this card to myself. I'll put the other three in the middle, and we'll shuffle them, and I'll get 3 back. So hopefully I can keep this to myself until the end of the game, and there we go. No one will find out that this character is going to score twice. Hopefully no one will find out anything about this character, although the dog also wants to stand next to her, so if someone gets the dog, they will score for that. All right, so I get these 3. We start the round. I'm going to look at these, and I'm not going to show you everything in here. We'll show one more, sure. This guy wants to stand at the table. I don't want anyone standing in front of me, all right? And I want to stand on the right side. So clearly, I should go right there. That satisfies all 3. I have only one VIP card, so I can't put in another one here, but maybe someone else will see this and put a VIP card in later. As you exchange envelopes, often you will find someone else's VIP, and you know that they are maximizing that score, and hopefully you can do the same. So this lady wants to stand next to this guy. I don't want anyone standing in front of me. And I want to stand next to this guy. Well, she can't have everything if this guy's going to have everything. Unless, nope, I'd have to put her back here and back here. And, oh boy, this is where you start to see the trouble here. I'd have to put him back here, but now this guy isn't satisfying this spot here. But I get 2 out of 3. Okay, and as you look at more envelopes, you start to lock people in, and that's going to cause trouble for what you're doing with the rest of this. This lady can still go here, this can go here. Apparently I am going to look at all these envelopes. Okay, I want to make sure no one sees the dog. The dog is an embarrassment. I want to stand in the second row and want to stand next to this lady. So she can go here. And this lady could go here, but now she'll be seen, whereas this guy doesn't want her to be seen. I can satisfy 2 of the 3 things that this guest wants, but not everything. Again, people are fickle. And of course, there's lots of contradictory things that will happen. What are the other events that we'll see? All right, rumors. Each player may take an envelope from any other player or from the middle, look at it, and then return it. So you'll see something, but then give it back. Or reveal the contents of 2 envelopes in the middle. Well, I hope you just didn't look at the middle, the envelopes in the middle. Once you play the game a few times, you know that this is out there and possible, so maybe you're not going to look in the middle after all. Each player gives an envelope to the player on their left and right. And choose your partner. You take the 2 envelopes in the middle, or you take 2 envelopes from the middle and then put 2 envelopes back. So you're going to get some other information, you hope. So sometimes you're going to have combinations of cards where everything works perfectly, like these 3. Great. If you get someone in this spot right there, you've got everything. You'll satisfy them completely. These 2 are contradictory on their own, so definitely you're only going to get one of them, but as long as they're on the board, you'll satisfy one of their wishes, and that can be important. You might have a shy guest where you don't want anyone to see your face. Fine, I'll be there, but that's it. That's as far as I'll go. Or someone who just likes to be around lots of other people. Now, at the end of the game, after you've placed everybody, and you can place as many or as few people as you want. I know this is here, and this is, let's see, those there, and this lady goes here, and he goes here. And maybe you don't see certain cards. That definitely will happen. And you can place them on the board or not as you wish. So let's say I leave those 2 off. At the end of the game, you get one final chance to put everyone in place. You then use your camera on your phone to actually take a picture. You don't have to, but you can, just to verify that if someone's face is not supposed to be seen, then by gosh, you don't see it. Okay. At that point, you then collapse your screen. So this is the screen that stood around your components the whole game. You collapse that, and you're going to now score points. Let's move the table because I don't need that here at the moment. And for each player that you have satisfied all 3 demands on, you score 6 points. If you satisfied only 2, you get 3 points. 1 is 1 point. If you have not satisfied anything, you made them stand in the photo and then you made them super unhappy, you're going to lose 3 points. If they're not there at all, perhaps you snapped a shot while they're in the bathroom, well, you don't score anything. Either way, they're just not there. Everyone's going to forget them. Were they at the party? I don't know. We have no evidence 20 years from now. And in the auction variant of the game, where you're using the decorations for money, every 2 decorations you have is worth a point at the end of play. So you will go through all the envelopes in the game and reveal them. All right, this one we know before. This person does not want to stand next to a man. Got it. Next to the dog? Yes. In this spot? Yes. That's 3 matches, so 6 points, and we score it twice because there's a VIP card. All right, super. What about someone who I didn't see, for example, such as this lady? I just put her out because I knew we didn't want to see her face. For this guy, well, she wants to stand next to this guy. She's not. Standing adjacent to someone is orthogonally adjacent. She wants to stand in the 3rd row. Nope. Wants to stand away from the table. Super. I got at least 1. So I got 1 point for her instead of -3. Sometimes you just put people on the board and you hope everything works out. The plant, I don't have the plant. I'm not going to score for the plant at all. But the plant wanted to be the plant. How about that? He just wanted to be himself. So if I had gambled and put the plant there, I would have scored a point. Actually, I would have scored 2 points. Oh, sometimes you just have to embrace your plantness. This guy. Okay. Oh, I forgot that he wanted to stand next to her. That definitely happens as you are trying to keep track of everything in the game. He stands next to women. Well, he wants to make sure that no one sees this lady's face. So I did one thing. I didn't get everything. Didn't track it all. But this is the nature of the game. You're going to put everything together, work it all out, and then see how many points you score. All right, 6 points for this lady. Boom. Keep going through all the guests. See who has the most points and wins. And there's an overview of Picture Perfect, which I played 5 times on a purchase copy of the game, once each with 2 and 3 players, and 3 times with 4 players. I described it as a combination logic game and party game, and the logic element should be pretty straightforward, because you're trying to look at all the various desires of the guest and satisfy them as well as you can. You are going to usually have these clusters of people around the table as you look at various envelopes, and you'll start locking in people a bit more as the game progresses. And then before the final photo, the actual photo that you take with your phone, you put everyone in place. But you can't do everything, because this person will want to stand next to these other 3 people, and there's only a few spots on the board where you can make that happen. But this other person, well, they all want to stand in the 3rd row, and these people want to stand in the 4th row, and these people want to be away from the table, and this, that, and the other. I want to stand next to this person, and this other person is just like, no, thank you. I don't want that. And you can't make us both happy. So you're going to maximize the satisfaction among everyone that you can. You are a utilitarian photographer and trying to have the most happiness possible. This will depend, what the choices that you make will depend upon the VIP cards that you see, and of course the envelopes you'll see, because you're not going to see them all. You might get a bit of information about someone, and you'll put them on the board anyway and just hope that you satisfy at least one of their wishes so that you get 1 point instead of -3 points. It's not clear sometimes how often you should gamble on just putting someone out there, but in my experience over 5 games, it seems more often than not, you should just put them somewhere. There's 3 cards, you're probably going to satisfy one of them. In theory, you could remember every single card that you see out of the 42 cards that are included in the game, and you can keep track of the ones that you haven't seen, and maybe they're going to apply to certain people, but that's probably a bit more tracking than you want to do. You can look for the appearance of VIP cards. That means someone else is maximizing the value for that guest. Hopefully you can do so as well. Potentially you could put the VIP card, your VIP card in that envelope as well, but then you're just helping the other player as much as you're helping yourself. So usually you're trying to just keep one envelope to yourself that no one else is going to see. But whether that happens or not depends upon how the event cards play out. And this is where you get into the party game aspect of Picture Perfect. Because the event cards are going to come out in a random order, and they will help you or not help you depending on how they come out and what other people are passing along and grabbing. For example, in 2 of my 3-player games, we had the situation where we revealed the contents of the envelopes in the middle of the table. So everyone knew everything about those 2 guests. Super. Okay, that gives information for everyone. We're all on even footing. But the next event card that came up was, I believe, Choose Your Partner, where you are going to take the 2 envelopes from the middle and then put 2 envelopes back. So in theory, you're gaining information from the characters who are in the middle, but in this case, you just saw those characters. And if I take those characters and put back someone else, then I gain no information and I'm giving information to other people. I don't want that to happen. So in both of these games, the starting player for the round would take those 2 envelopes from the middle and then put them back. And then everyone else did the same thing. And essentially, we did not have an event and no one gained additional information. So it felt like a lost opportunity. We were missing a little part of the game because nothing happened. Why is this here? And that happened in 2 of the 3 4-player games that I played. So That doesn't seem good. We also played the auction variant once in a 4-player game. The auction variant, you start with 10 decorations, so that's 5 points that you have available. You're going to take 3 random event cards and 3 random auction event cards, shuffle them together, and play through the 6 rounds of the game. And when you have an auction, the format is generally the same from one auction to the next. The starting player for the round chooses an envelope, puts it up for auction. We resolve the auction, and then the next player does so, and each player will do this once. Now, the types of auctions differ. You might have an open auction where people just yell out their prices, or a fixed price auction where I say, I want to get this many decorations for this envelope. I show you what that envelope is, and the first player on my left can pay that or just decline, pay or decline, pay or decline. If everyone declines, well, I got nothing and I keep this envelope to myself. If someone pays, great, they have that. And through the auction process, you can end up with more envelopes or fewer envelopes than another player, depending on how much you pay, what the winning price is for an auction. You also have a once around auction where each player can outbid the previous player or pass. You have a secret auction where you just put out decorations. You have an unfair secret auction where you all put out decorations, but half of what you bid goes to the auctioning player, regardless of whether you win or not. So it's kind of a disincentive to bid unless you really want something and are sure that no one else is going to outbid you. You don't know how that's going to happen. Okay, having an auction in the final round, as we did in our 4-player game, is a little weird just because the value of the decorations, it's two decorations for 1 point. So I know that if I bid 6 decorations, I am giving you 3 points, and I'm getting an envelope that I hope I can earn at least 3 points, but ideally satisfy all 3 of those cards in there. Otherwise, I'm just breaking even. So what was the point of that? So having a last round auction is a little iffy. So we had all these elements in the game where randomness happens, and you're not necessarily going to see all of the envelopes. You have the one where you put all the envelopes but one in the middle, you shuffle them, and then get back as many envelopes as you had before. And potentially, you're just going to get back the envelopes that you put in there, which again means you don't gain any information. And someone else gets 2 or 3 new envelopes, and great. Now they know so much more than you, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you just have to lump it. This is the party game aspect of Picture Perfect, where you have to accept that random things are going to happen, and that's just how things are going to work out. It will be unfair. It might be unfair to your benefit. It might be unfair against you. But the game isn't going to play nice and make everything even. You have the event where you pass pass an envelope to the left. If you have the next event being the one where you give an envelope to the left and right players, well, you know you're getting that envelope right back, which again means you're not getting any information and things were sort of wasted. Kind of want more variety in the events, or you want something where more is going to happen and you are going to see more things. The concept of the game, the core of the game, is fantastic. I love the idea of it because it's extremely imaginative. It feels very different from a lot of other games because there's not a solution that you're trying to find. It's not like some logic games where there is something locked in that you are trying to discover, a clue type game where everyone is racing to find the solution. There is no perfect solution that will satisfy everyone. You cannot take that Picture Perfect because it does not exist. So you're just trying to do the best you can. And that concept of it is wonderful. I love the concept of it. But then you come to the details of it where you're just going to get hosed sometimes and you don't see envelopes where other people will, or you have a dud event where nothing happens. And it feels like there could have been more to it. Maybe that's fine. Maybe this is what you want. This is the party game for people who hate party games because it is a very quiet experience where we're working on our own for the most part, and there's not much interaction with the other players because we're just trying to figure out how to do this puzzle on our own. The interaction only comes from deciding, what am I going to keep? What am I going to give away? What am I going to put my VIP card in? There's little moments like that where you are interacting in this indirect way with other people, but for the most part, it's just me on my own. And the party game nature comes from the random things that are going to happen that may or may not work out for you. And you just have to live with it and hopefully enjoy the game for what it is, despite those elements of it, despite the randomness. And it's very cool despite the randomness. So maybe you can give it a try and share your pictures, which is a beautiful social media tool that the designer and publisher have to share awareness of the game itself. You are encouraged. You already have a photo on your phone. Share it. Talk about the game. Tell others about it, and hopefully word will spread.